Greetings Exiles, Bullshifter here, and we are back live again on YouTube. How's it going, everyone? Tonight we are just going to go ahead, play through some Legion content, and yeah, just have some fun, and hopefully have a very solid stream tonight. So let's go ahead and get started. Just adjust a couple of things here. Let's see, so we're going to go ahead and continue on through Act 4, where I'd previously left off. And this should be relatively interesting because I've just gone ahead and adjusted a few things here. I should actually reassign my skills. But I've gone ahead and re-equipped Cyclone before I was having a bit of trouble sustaining my mana.
I once heard a card
we'll see if we can have a little better luck this time around.
Perhaps this is it.
If nothing else, we'll just go ahead and switch to Sunder. Let's see what we've got all equipped here. Yeah, we'll equip our Protector to Square. I kind of like that setup as is. Let's see, we've already got our Cyclone there, so we can probably go ahead and we'll attach our Sunder there just in case we can't quite sustain our Cyclone as of yet. Just kind of the challenge in one of the previous streams that I'd done on Twitch was I just wasn't sustaining my mana with Cyclone, although it doesn't appear to be too bad. Next time I level up though, I'm definitely going to grab another mana leech node. So I've actually changed my skill tree up a little bit since my Path of Building video before. I've gone ahead and actually added a couple of mana leech nodes as well, just so I could hopefully use Cyclone a bit earlier on during the build. Just because the amount of times that we hit with Cyclone, it definitely helps with the life leech aspect of it. Although I was really enjoying Perforate, so worst case scenario we just go back to Perforate, but I'd really prefer to use this. Yeah, this is a fun little boss fight. The only part that's a little bit frustrating is when he starts throwing those fireballs from 2 of the 3 different directions. Typically if I die anywhere in this boss fight, that's going to be where it happens. Get back here. Time to kill still a little bit slow with our whirlwind now. I can definitely use an upgrade with my gear at the moment though. Yeah, so right now our mana situation's actually not too bad. Yeah, I'm interested to see how this ends up going against him. Because the leech is working nicely. Time to kill could be better, but the leech actually isn't working too bad. Massive Shrine is super nice for Whirlwind just because it gives you so much of a larger area of attack. It's ridiculous. Oh, none of these hits are registering right now. It's really weird. Yeah, my health is still a little on the low side compared to where I'd like it. And I think the crappy thing is my fire resists are actually the lowest of all my resists right now. Yeah, so it seems like as long as we're actually hitting something and we're not just wasting our whirlwind, I'm actually regenning enough mana now, just the 1 mana node. I'll probably still pick up the second one, just to be safe. Yeah, happy to help, man. The big reason I wanted to start covering Path of Exile content was just, you know, essentially for newer players, just so people wouldn't be deterred from the game, because I really like the game, but I remember what it was like when I first started. It was a lot to take in, and I didn't play it for a long time on PC because of that, so yeah, I just kind of wanted to be just a helpful channel for PS4 players just looking to jump right in. I think that's just going to be a thing with whirlwind builds early on, is the fact that time to kill is not going to be great, but you're hitting so many times that you're just constantly leeching. So as long as you're not getting 1 or 2 shot, it's going to be almost impossible for you to die. There's one thing you'll notice when I jump into these fights. You know, I don't have much energy shield just because I'm not really building it with this class. I don't really care to have energy shield. It goes away almost instantly because I'm not leeching energy shield, I'm only leeching life. But, you know, my life is constantly staying full. Yeah, a couple streams ago I actually equipped Whirlwind a bit early. Cyclone, I keep calling it Whirlwind. Played Diablo for too long. Hey Darkness, how's it going tonight? Yeah, hopefully anyone who's running a similar build to this, or anyone who decided to try out my build from my Path of Building videos, having a decent amount of luck with the build. And everything in this game comes with time. Like, a lot of my videos are really just kind of starting points. And eventually what I like to do in the long run too is you kind of cover a lot of different builds and stuff later on, once we've covered a majority of the basics. It's just there's so many basics to cover that just takes a while. I mean, as long as the videos are helping people out, people are progressing through the game, like, that's a win in my book. Alright, cool, we found a monolith. This is going to be one of the funnest parts to run Whirl or Cyclone with. The only trick is the fact that we're not really hitting them hard enough to activate them all, like, immediately. As long as we're hitting, our mana sustains pretty well. That was the other problem I was running into, is earlier that wasn't the case. tank builds are solid for this game. You might find you kill things slowly, but I mean, as long as you don't die, I mean, once you hit later levels, that's literally over half the battle. Dude, no worries, Chalupa. I know you've had a lot of problems with the frame rate stuff in Twitch, since they kind of lock the frame rate changing to people who just have larger streams. This is kind of one of the reasons why I decided to stop using Twitch. Hey dude, how's it going? I mean, especially now that melee is like huge in the meta, tanky characters should be that much better. It's long overdue. I'm personally enjoying it just because I've never really played like a tanky melee character. I've always played caster or ranged in Path of Exile, so yeah, it's a new experience for me. It's been a lot of fun so far. Like, look at this leech. This is ridiculous. There should be a PlayStation trophy for leeching so much in a minute. This is also actually my first pure physical build with no elemental damage added onto it. Actually, I think I already have vulnerability. It's actually what I'm using right now, so I didn't need to pick that up. Because typically I'll run some sort of elemental damage, and I'll just kind of find different ways to really just manipulate elemental equilibrium just to get that extra damage. I should activate that instead of just running past one. Be a fun little boss fight too. I think Path of Exile on console is fun. There's a little bit of performance issues, admittedly. There's a little bit of rubber banding, especially when you're using movement skills. If you run high tier maps as like a necromancer, once you get to a certain amount of summons, you can see some performance stuttering. I mean, it's still really fun. The reason why I play on console instead of PC is just most of my friends don't have gaming PCs. And, you know, it's fresh on PS4, so it was just something, you know, fun to get into again. I haven't actually played Path of Exile on like a standard PS4 yet. I have a Pro. And I think if you have like one of the 4K models, that'd be either a PS4 or an Xbox, because of the enhanced hardware. I think it runs a little bit smoother, at least from what I've read. So I mean, the slight drop I see like every now and again is really not that bad, and I don't rubber band like constantly. It's just an occasional thing. Where are the enemies with the icons? What is going on here? Huh, that was a wasted model. I didn't see a single one. My gaming PC is starting to get a little outdated. I think the graphics card I have on it's like it's one of the 900 series. I think it's like the 960. I mean, it still runs everything. I just can't run on max quality, which doesn't really bother me. But, you know, I have a PS4 Pro, so I just prefer to play on here. Cancel, nice drop. No worries. That's good. Yeah, that's good you haven't had a bunch of issues on the first gen PS4. And I'm hoping that, like, they optimize more over time. I mean, in all reality, like, the best way for them to be incentivized to, you know, give console more and more support is if it has more and more players. I mean, that's another reason why I make my videos, is because, like, if people get frustrated with, like, the base mechanics of the game, it's more likely people are just going to say, you know, screw it, uninstall it, and move on. Like, you could potentially miss out on a pretty great game here if, you know, you just get frustrated and leave. I mean, it's easy to do that, and too, like, there's so many nodes and so many things you can do, so many different items that, you know, when you first start, it's really difficult to make a good build. You catch on over time, and after a while, after you've made like 4 or 5 characters, everything kind of comes as second nature. But, you know, initially it's intimidating. It's a big game. Hey, how's it going? It's actually not too hard to stay ahead of me in level, to be honest. I don't get quite a lot of playtime. Most of the playtime I get, like, you guys actually see on stream. The full-time job kind of cuts into the playtime. Everyone at my house has been sick the last week too, so
My spirit is spent.
I think I gotta get a little bit more disciplined with commies and whirlwind here. I gotta quit attacking at nothing. It would be fun one of these leagues, though, to just take a couple days off work and see how far I can push at the beginning of a league. It's kind of funny, though, because if you watch the notifications for each league when it starts, you typically tend to see, like, the same 4 or 5 names. I mean, I've known people on PC who, you know, they'll literally take like the first few days of a new league off work, just push as far as they can. Here we go, big boss fight. That was where my cyclone would start. You might not be able to face tank him. Him having minions is actually helping us. That was pretty great. That felt
Just be
good.
happy that you got a warrior's death,
I
Carl.
like that.
I believe in traveling light.
Let's see. That gives us a little bit more life leech. That's not bad. Let's see. Our current does 40 to 60. So the minimum physical damage goes down a little bit. Does give us a pretty big boost of physical damage, but the gem sockets don't quite match up, and I don't really want to invest a ton into an item early on. Yeah, I feel like just a little bit of extra life, like this character's coming along pretty much the way I was hoping it would. I actually haven't looked into what uniques people are using for Cyclone on their builds. I just, the way I like to build my characters is essentially just going through the skill tree, picking out the skill gems I like, and then, you know, just kind of trying to figure out the uniques and the different items I'm going to use as I go.
What is it, Exile?
So that way, if I kind of have to, you know, change up some skill gems or change some nodes on my tree or just craft, you know, some different stats onto some rare gear, I'm not making it so, you know, I'm requiring that specific unique. I can kind of work my way around it. Because, dude, items are just always going to be just stupid expensive on PS4. Like, I mean, some of the items are expensive on PC, but, I mean, as soon as you get in the PS4, it's just, the inflation's unreal. And, like, I don't think it's going to get better anytime soon. This league, I think it'll help a little bit that currency seems to drop more because of the monoliths. Because I've noticed that, you know, I definitely have, like, a lot more chaos, and I've even got a Regal Orb, and I'm only in Act 4. Usually I don't start seeing Regals until, you know, the later acts. So the fact that you can get some of that stuff through the monoliths early, and the fact that, you know, you have incubators which help you get different items and currency too, I think it'd be helpful. But at the same time, having all those things could also push up those inflation prices even worse. That's pretty nice. That's a pretty nice item in general. Actually, I'm not even... Vulnerability is the only skill gem on there that I'm actually technically using. So why don't we do this? As much as I'd like to at least... I don't think I have a red socket to equip that in. Let's do this. I'll kind of show you guys how I actually figure out what I want to do when I actually switch out my weapons. So right now I can see the DPS that my Cyclone's doing here in my skill tree. So it's kind of going to be based off of, it's either going to be this axe or this two-handed sword that I use. So if I equip it, I'll actually see I get a nice little boost in DPS there. Now if I go and switch to this axe, a little bit less DPS from the axe itself, but the axe is going to give increased damage with bleeding. But I don't have chance to bleed equipped on my Cyclone yet. That's life on kill, and this one was life gained for each enemy hit by attack, so that's kind of better in itself. It has some strength, which is actually going to give me some life. The increased physical damage, that should already be implemented there. Probably is taking into account that elemental damage. Let's see, there's no implicit modifier, so that's irrelevant. It's giving some fire resistance. So this isn't giving me any resistances. Oh, my fire is actually my highest right now. So, I mean, what I'll probably end up doing... 861. I like the life on hit. Just because we're using Cyclone, so that +3 life gain for each enemy hit should be better than the actual life on kill. Yeah, mapping will give you way better drops than just playing through the actual campaign itself. So yeah, I think I'll switch to this sword. And you know what, let's actually just see if we can get some extra sockets on it. I'm not, typically in order to do this, I would upgrade it, but I've only got 17 whetstones right now. I don't really want to waste those. And I mean, if I can even just, I'll probably, yeah, I'll unequip that. So let's sell these off real quick.
It, Exile?
And then we'll unequip. And I'm just going to try and roll at least one more socket. That's fine. And hopefully we can get 2 reds. Perfect. And the reason for that is, like, vulnerability I'm actually using. I'm not going to use Sunder, but I want to keep leveling up my chance to bleed gem, because even though I'm not using it now, I'll use it later. And you don't have to actually be using your gems in order to level them up. So even if they're just equipped in your item, you're still making progress with that gem. And that's the thing, like, you don't even necessarily have to, try not to fall into what I call the unique trap. You know, granted, there's unique items that are definitely going to make and break builds, but, you know, you can find someone who just isn't aware of how good the rare item that they have actually is, and just buy that rare item off of someone instead. And definitely don't fall into the trap of thinking that just because something's a unique item, it automatically makes it better than a rare, because it's definitely not the case. That's good, man. Like, I've even learned some stuff over the past couple months, to be honest. It's probably like one of my favorite things about this game is the fact that, like, I feel like no matter how long you actually play for, you're gonna keep learning stuff. This is a nice spot right here. Got the chest at least. Can we get this guy too before the, yeah, we'll get him before the time runs out. And we unlock that guy. So hopefully with some nice rewards from this. Builds incubator. Nice. I don't think that was even from an enemy with an icon. So, ball rain of arrows, like, I probably won't use that, but it's a superior version of the gem, so I'll probably throw that into one of my stash spots and have it available for sale, because someone will probably need it. Ooh, unique ring. Chromatic item. Those are some nice drops. That's a nice resistance ring. So this, because of the light radius, this is actually a nice ring for delving. So actually hold on to that. What do we get for an incubator? currency. So that could be a lot of different things. Hey Soho, how's it going? So let's incubate probably our chess piece. And that stuff, I'll probably just hold on to that to sell it off. I'm kind of getting to that point in the game where you kind of have to make an executive decision on if you're going to hold on to some gold items as you're mapping through. Well, not mapping through, but going through the storyline stuff. Just because at this point, like, I don't want to have to portal back a ton of times just to vendor stuff. But at the same time, like, I do want to grab items to see if it's something that's worth replacing a current item with. Yeah, it all takes time. As long as you don't get discouraged and you keep at it, like, you'll get there. You'll start building things on your tree without even thinking twice about it. Biggest thing is just having your skill tree itself, you know, have specific focuses. Like for this character, the biggest things I focused on were, you know, health, life leech on hit, physical damage, two-handed damage, just, you know, the stuff I knew I'd be doing with this build. I could have decided, you know, right out the gate if I wanted to use two-handed axes or a two-handed sword, but I kind of avoided that just because there's a few different unique weapons you can make an argument for. There's some two-handed swords that are, you know, ridiculous, but at the same time, like, there are some two-handed axes that do a nice amount of bleed damage, and I do end up picking up bleed nodes. It's an interesting, long-named item. It's actually pretty decent, it just doesn't work with this build. Yeah, adulting sucks, that's for sure. I can't complain too much though. I work for decent people. I work for a smaller company, so I get to avoid like a lot of the corporate BS that's involved with a lot of different jobs. Hopefully that light flask is pretty decent. Yeah, I can't complain too much about work. I don't mind it too much. At the end of the day, I get to come home to my family and get to play some Path of Exile, make some content, do some streams. That's the Cyclone Dubstep Remix, version 3. Yeah, I would play music on the streams, but I'm terrified of what YouTube would do. It's the last thing I want are copyright strikes. It's one thing I've noticed that Twitch is decent about. It's seems like all the bigger, like, PC Path of Exile players on there seem to listen to music while they play. But I've missed being on YouTube, to be honest. Cyclone's coming along. This is pretty fun, actually. Hey, good to hear, man. Yeah, I'm happy to be streaming on YouTube again. After using it as a leveling skill, I actually almost want to try and see if I can make a viable endgame perforate build. Because in Sand Stance, I had a ton of fun with perforate. I don't need to kill these guys. One thing I've noticed too, let's see if I can get a little distance here to demonstrate. So let's switch. Oh, yikes. So I turn max range off. And like now my leap slam will actually kind of hit enemies more often. But if I turn max range back on, it'll actually, like, it does what it says it does. It actually, like, gives you the maximum range that you can move on with that. That's something I want to cover in a video, but, like, I wanted to remember to bring it up during the stream, too. So I don't think there's a lot of places online that really talk about what that max range does. I don't think they have that on PC, just because they can kind of manually choose their clicks exactly where they're going, where obviously we don't have that option on PS4 or on Xbox. I don't think there's a lot of PS4 content creators either. The only ones I know about are myself and Kamal. Who's a good dude, by the way. If you guys haven't seen his channel, he's also worth checking out. Twitch was okay. I don't know. It just wasn't for me. I just had some friends who were like, oh, you know, like, everybody streams on Twitch and makes content on YouTube, but I mean, I haven't really let, you know, what like the big time streamers do really influence anything else that I do. So I don't really know why I went that direction. Probably just to try it out, but all in all, like, I just prefer to stick to YouTube. That way everyone who's subbed can, like, actually get notified when I'm online, which is nice. And, like, you know, it's everyone here on YouTube that's, you know, made it so I have subscribers here and, you know, people actually want to watch. You know, I didn't gain that on Twitch, I gained that on YouTube. So, you know, I should be on YouTube, like, rewarding you guys for, you know, being subscribers as opposed to trying to build on Twitch.
King of Swords is nothing.
My big goal with the channel, and it's largely because of the fact that there's not a ton of PS4 content creators, is to just keep making better content over time. Like, that's always my big goal is with each video I make to make it, you know, better and more informative than the last one. Fearless, are you in the PS4 community that I made? It's a pretty solid place to group up with people. Especially recently, it's gotten a lot more active. I've been pretty happy.
Your glory will be remembered in song forever, Duresso. I promise you that.
Okay, so here's our life class that we got earlier that I completely forgot we got. That removes poison, which would be nice. But eventually that's going to be somewhat irrelevant. Max life. Life regen unfortunately doesn't do anything for us at this point. Red and a green socketed. What's my max life? 45? Yeah, I'll stick with what I have for that. This I've been keeping literally just for the attack. I can probably get rid of that now. If I go down here and take Spirit Void. That was one of the things I changed with the build. So my life sustain's not too horrible, but still probably wouldn't be a bad idea to build up to these life nodes. The strength on the way will actually give me a bit of extra life too. Let's see. Extra resist, but no extra health on that. 43 max life. Gives some energy shield, which isn't huge, but I'll stick with that because it has the resists. Yeah, so nothing I can really use. But go ahead and vendor all that stuff. I've just got to get to the point where I'm mapping with this character, and to be honest, I'd actually love to do some like community play stuff once I'm mapping with this character.
Yes.
Just have a few of you guys join me during the stream and just do some mapping. I didn't really get a chance to do that last league, so I'd definitely love to do that this time around. Because, like, I still try to keep these as informative as possible, but this is, you know, more or less also a time for me to just, you know, chat with you guys and just have some fun while playing. So, hold on to that one. This can go in here, and I think, yeah, I do have that set to public, so that's all set already. I'm going to try to push over the next week too, so hopefully I'll get to play with you guys soon. 'Cause I think it'd be a lot of fun. That happened to me in labs last league too.
Num num.
I had a few times. It's usually when I hit like around tier 12 or 13 that the lag will hit a bit more often. It's not terrible, but I mean, you know, when you're at that point in the game, any little bit of lag that kills you sucks. Losing at 10% experience sucks. You know, especially when you're only gaining, you know, like 18 to 24% experience from running the map in general. Like losing that 10% is a big deal. Oh, nice, dude. Grats. I think I had 3 or 4 last league, which I felt really lucky, to be honest. Delving will do it too. Don't sleep on the delve. You get a lot of great stuff down there. It's easy to get lost in the Atlas endgame and just like continuously, you know, map. But I mean, delving can be even more rewarding than maps. It's definitely getting a lot of fun. I would push further, man. Act 3, farming for orbs there is just, it's gonna be kind of a trudge. You're just gonna have better luck. You basically rush through the game and then try and farm for orbs in actual maps or, you know, like the delve. I mean, the earlier you are in the game, like, the less stuff is going to drop. Like, me being in Act 4 right now, like, next week when we're, you know, hopefully running endgame, you're going to see a lot better stuff dropping on the stream. So, a little off topic, but who all had a chance to check out E3? I didn't see much of it live, but I did catch a lot of recaps. I agree with Fearless on this one. That's one of the very few places in the story that I will recommend grinding in, just because you can get the divination card to get yourself a tabula rasa. The monster density is not bad in that area too, so you're actually progressing and leveling up as long as you're not super over leveled compared to the area itself. Yeah, Microsoft actually had a better conference than I thought they would. Cyberpunk looks like a pretty awesome game. But like, Bethesda was pretty disappointing. Ubisoft was kind of a disaster. Square Enix pulled out some stuff that I was pretty stoked to hear about, mainly Final Fantasy VIII. Like, I never thought they would re-release that game. So I'll be excited to play that again. The Avengers project looks a little... But I mean, the more I see of Ultimate Alliance 3, the more I'm excited for that game on the Switch. I don't know if we're gonna hit this guy before the timer ends. That sucks. Cyberpunk's just going to be further proof that anything you put Keanu Reeves in is going to be awesome. Yeah, I can't believe they're putting Witcher 3 on Switch. You can tell like the graphics have been downgraded quite a bit, so it'll actually run. So I hope it's good. I hope it doesn't have a bunch of performance issues. I got a Switch when it first came out, just 'cause it actually came out like on my birthday that year. I sunk just a ridiculous amount of time into Breath of the Wild. So I thought it was pretty exciting that they also announced the second one at E3. Nintendo was the other company I thought had a really great conference. Nintendo did well, Square Enix did well, and Microsoft did well. Oh, I was bleeding. I should have paid attention. RIP. Unfortunately, I don't think Ultimate Alliance 3 will be for everyone. I'm super excited for it. I think the art style is going to be a hang-up for some people. I mean, I really don't mind. I think kind of the comics / Saturday morning cartoon look is kind of cool. And from what I saw of like the gameplay after the actual conferences themselves, it seems like the game's actually going to be a lot deeper than what I initially thought it would be. I heard rumors that there were like over 200 and some different nodes you can pick up for characters. There's, you know, the different ISO 8s that you can equip on characters for essentially different modifiers to your skills, multiple skills that you can equip. You know, just like the other Ultimate Alliance games, there's going to be the different team bonuses for having, you know, specific heroes teaming up together. I think it's gonna be cool. I think it's gonna be fun. Oh yeah, I've been really pumped for Borderlands 3. Yeah, anyone who has a Switch, like, obviously I love the ARPG genre, and I'm a big Marvel fan. So, you know, I would at least check out some gameplay videos of Ultimate Alliance 3. I'm probably in the minority on this, but when I was a little kid, like one of the first systems I had that I owned that was actually mine was my Game Boy Pocket, and Link's Awakening was actually like one of my favorite games of all time. So the fact that it's getting a remake on the Switch and you can build your own dungeons in it, I'm actually pretty excited for that too. See, I was pretty excited by E3.
Oh, duelist, you're so cute when you're bewildered.
Good old Piety. Let's see if we can face tank you two.
My beautiful champion.
Not necessarily. I mean, if you haven't played a Legend of Zelda game before, I mean, some of the better ones, in my opinion, are
It was Malachi.
ones that have come out or ones that are being remade. Like, I think Link's Awakening is really overlooked by a lot of people. I think it's just because like if you weren't playing the games during that time, a lot of people just missed out on it. So I think it's an awesome game. I really love the whole dungeon building mechanic they have in it. Breath of the Wild was amazing. Like, Breath of the Wild 2, I'm sure is also going to be amazing. Everyone and their brother's going to tell you, oh, Ocarina. And Ocarina's a great game, don't get me wrong. But there's other great Zelda games. Cool thing about Link's Awakening 2 is it's actually a direct sequel to A Link to the Past, which is another one of my favorite Zelda games. So man, I would say if you've never played a Zelda game, there's probably never been a better time to get into it.
Before we walk this path.
Oh, that's right, we gotta collect these parts from his 3 guardians.
On this day, the eve of this
Paper Mario would be awesome. I'd also like to see a remake of Super Mario RPG, like the original one. It's a comparison a lot of people have made, but if you're into games like Skyrim, like Breath of the Wild is a great Zelda game to get into. In my opinion, Link to the Past is just flat out one of the greatest games of all time, especially for that era, like the Super Nintendo era. And then Link's Awakening is one of the few games I've actually I pre-ordered the little special edition with the art book.
Such
I don't pre-order special editions of anything really often. I mean, I would say out of all the Zelda games, the only one I just genuinely didn't enjoy very much was Skyward Sword. It's not that it was a bad game, I just didn't like it as much as the others.
Flattery will get you nowhere with me, milady. On this day, this completion.
The other thing that's exciting that's coming to the Switch is the Baldur's Gate series. And they announced the third game, but I don't know if it's a PC exclusive, if it's coming to PS4. I didn't look into that all that much. Ooh, rip. He hit hard. See, Maligaro hits so hard, it's crashing PCs.
Could have made you into a wonder. Take comfort, Maligaro.
Well, I don't need wands.
An artist's
why I
work
grabbed
is
those, to be
always worth
honest.
more when he's dead.
Yeah, he did. He was a savage. I actually kind of like the fact that they upped the difficulty early on in the game too. They have the guild stash tab on sale. I wonder if that's by mistake. This PC has guilds. As far as I knew, we didn't have them on console yet, though. Like, I didn't even know if they planned on implementing guilds in the console. I think it'd be nice. I mean, that's the whole reason. Well, it's one of the big reasons why I made the PS4 community. Was because of the fact that, you know, we don't have guilds. But hopefully if they put that there on mistake, it's a bit of a spoiler that we're going to get guilds. Jeweler's orbs? That's nice.
I believe in trebling light.
Ooh, a blast orb. Oh, let's see. Do you have anything useless in here? 15 to max life. Okay. Drop some stuff just so we can... actually keep that staff. Plus 8 to max life. Kill me, game. These really low rolls in life. What'd you blame this on, Link? should. The community's been getting a lot more active lately. Like different community members helping each other out, answering questions for new members, more people grouping up and everything. I've been really happy with it.
I didn't catch a word of what you said, Doedri. That's probably a good thing.
It's been nice to see people get more active in the community in general. That's one thing I always encourage too, is like, if you see someone asking a question, like, you're not stepping on my toes by answering, trust me, like, I'm happy to see people helping each other out. Yeah, let's go back into town real quick and sell some of this crap off. Trying to think, like, I tried to catch all the E3 recaps, but I don't even, did Blizzard do anything? Was Blizzard at E3? If they were, they definitely didn't talk about Diablo 4. Maybe I just totally missed it. Strength intel, life or day.
Yes.
Nothing. You can kill Elder and Shaper, I believe. Oh yeah, that's right. I do remember reading that they were saving that for BlizzCon. I'm almost more surprised to hear that they're going to make an Overwatch 2. I thought they'd just continue to support Overwatch.
Well,
Probably like a Team Fortress 2 thing. They'll make the second and then just stick with that one. I thought I heard somewhere that they were trying to add like some Left 4 Dead style elements to Overwatch 2, like some different like cooperative and versus stuff, which could be interesting. I don't know, I'd like to see Blizzard redeem themselves. And I'm hoping they kind of stick to Diablo 4 and the big 4.0 patch for Path of Exile releasing at the same time. Because, like, if we get Path of Exile and Diablo, like, really directly competing with one another, that's just a huge win for us as ARPG fans.
Create the most beautiful of nightmares together. Let us bathe you in blood, duelist, so that this
Competition always benefits the consumer.
now, Exile!
embrace the future.
You know, clearly Path of Exile is my game, but, like, you know, I still play Diablo 3 on my Switch. Like, it's my on-the-go ARPG. Scratches that itch when I'm away from home. I play on my lunch breaks at work and stuff.
Now, Exile!
Alakai might be a bit of a challenge here. Yeah, we're gonna rip. I knew that was coming. Yeah, our life is still pretty low. I think a lot of that's my gear though, but hitting those life nodes up there will help too.
This is what
It
I
sucks we ripped that
tried
close to
be
the
a
end,
bloody
though.
hero. An honest death.
An honest death.
Let us see if you truly understand what it means to be Nightmare.
I suppose I could use their skills here too.
I gave my life. So much you are being selfish.
Oh, I'm being selfish. I see how it is, boss. You're being selfish, Malachi. Shoot out your weird Beetlejuice things at me. Not dying for the greater good of my looting.
Accept the gift of immortality.
This actually isn't too bad of a fight as long as we pick our spots intelligently. Big thing is when he shoots out all those little tentacles, just to kind of make sure we're not in front of him when he does that. Oh, he just avoided my curse there. Yeah, we avoid that attack and kind of cheese around afterwards. Oof. Nailed us with the AoE. Now, the Discord doesn't have any sort of affiliation with the PS4 community, unfortunately. The link I have in all my videos, though, should work to join the Discord channel.
Nightmare is the true intelligence.
Admittedly, the Discord's probably what I check the least, just because it's the least active. You know, between YouTube, the PS4 community, and the Discord itself. But I mean, as long as people like tag me, I obviously respond. But that's the thing, like I don't get notifications unless I'm actually tagged in people's posts on the Discord channel.
Are you so in love with death? You are being selfish.
That floating circle sucks.
Are being selfish.
So close. We got him here. There we go. That's some crappy loot. What's up, Eternal? How's it going?
It's a strange feeling when the fighting is done. Ah. I've won. The nightmare is ended.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for, you know, getting the Discord to be more active. I have it right on my phone, so that way, you know, if I'm tagged and stuff, it's not that difficult for me to be able to respond almost immediately. That's kind of what I like about, like, the size of the channel and all the communities right now, is, like, that's still realistic.
The beast is dead.
You know, and I'm enjoying that while I can. You know, obviously the goal is to grow the channel and everything,
There's
but
no arena.
you know, when you're a smaller channel, I mean, there's kind of some charm to that because I can actually like take the time to be able to actually, you know, have the time to respond and try to, you know, have a response and a message for, you know, anyone who says anything on the YouTube channel, or, you know, pings me in anything that's, you know, on the Discord or in the community. Oh, the nightmare has just begun. And I actually don't really have a use for any of these, unfortunately. Guess we just grab that one just for the sake of grabbing one.
Still I live.
I definitely need to beef up that health for the Kitava fight, though. But by the time we get there, I'll definitely be hitting into these nodes, so it shouldn't be an issue. Yeah, I've been pretty happy with how large the PS4 community's grown too. When I first started, you know, obviously there's only a handful of people in there. I think we're close to like 70 people in the PS4 community group now. There's usually a few sessions going regardless of what point of the day it is. Which is nice too. Like, that was one of the things that actually really impressed me about the way the YouTube channel grew, is the fact that, you know, there's not only people in all sorts of different time zones in the US, but all sorts of people from outside the US that are a part of the group too. So basically you have people from all around the world to play with at just about any given time during the day. Honestly, the best way to find some people to play with would probably be just joining the community. And I fully encourage people, you know, posting, you know, messages in there saying they're looking for a group to play with. Because the nice thing is there's the message board, and then the next tab over in PS4 communities, it shows you current online sessions that are going. So, I mean, you can literally pop into the chat, you know, ask if anyone wants to group up, and, you know, group up and join into people's sessions, or have them join your session right from the next tab over. So, I mean, yeah, definitely, you know, use the community to your advantage. Like, that's pretty much the purpose that I created the PS4 community for, was for everyone to have a spot to group up, since guilds aren't a thing yet. You know, it's obviously open for, like, questions and stuff too, but my assumption was most people would probably ask questions directly, like, on the YouTube videos and everything. So I essentially wanted to have that community just so, you know, just everyone from the group could actually play with one another. Yeah, I mean, when you group up, the loot gets better, the difficulty spikes a bit higher, but I feel like the better loot outweighs the higher difficulty. That's an interesting divination card. I honestly don't know if I've seen that one before. Yeah, I mean, I would hope no one would, you know, get upset if you kind of join in their session. At the same time, I guess you don't really know what point in the game they're in. But, you know, if you're looking to create a session, I just put out like a general, you know, message on the board saying you're looking for someone to group up and play with. Otherwise, I guess when it comes to like messaging individuals who have current sessions going, that would kind of be their discretion on if they're comfortable receiving messages or not. I mentioned earlier in the stream, like, once I get to endgame with this character, I'm going to be looking to actually group up and do some mapping and everything, like, on the actual stream itself live. But, I mean, everyone in the community should be pretty friendly. I haven't had any issues with anyone yet. You know, because of the content I make with it, you know, being, for the most part, like, informative and tutorial videos and stuff like that, I try to promote more of, like, a positive, welcoming environment. I don't really want, you know, people with like an elitist mentality discouraging people who are trying to learn. And I will say this, for as toxic as people claim that the internet is, and like comment sections in YouTube are and all that kind of stuff, I really have to commend you guys in like essentially being the community I was hoping to actually be able to build. Like the amount of positivity that I've seen from people in general, it's been pretty amazing. There's an astounding small amount of negativity that I've run into since starting the channel, and it's been really encouraging. You know, and that's something that's completely on you guys, so I definitely appreciate that. Yeah, Cyclone's definitely starting to feel a bit better. I think once I actually complete this skill tree, optimize my items a little bit, this should be a lot of fun. Thanks, man. That means a lot. Yeah, I'm glad the content helps everybody out, and I'm glad that everyone likes, you know, coming to the stream, hanging out. Nice. Those superior gem drops are awesome.
there's been times when I'll have a skill gem leveled up halfway, and then I'll get one that drops that has like 10% or higher quality to it. And I actually have to sit there and debate, like, okay, is it worth me just replacing that skill gem and just re-leveling it because I have all that quality on it? Because, I mean, gem cutters prisms aren't cheap. Wow. So that, an Orb of Annulment, that is an awesome drop. That's essentially like, for what Exalted Orbs go for now, that's almost like, I'd say close to a half of an Exalt right there. At least in the previous league it was. So that's a really great drop. RNGesus is with us tonight. I'm not sure if there's a Vol Tectonic Slam. Yeah, I thought it was between about 40 or 50, which you could typically get an Exalt for. I guess it depends on what part of the league you were in. There were times it was around 80-ish, and then other times it jumped up to where everyone was selling them for over 100. Yeah, the fact that that just dropped for me in Act 5 is pretty amazing. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna downplay like how lucky of a drop that actually is. I forgot what stream it was, but it was actually on one of my streams too that I had one of my Exalted drops. So, I mean, not only do you guys make my playthroughs more fun, you actually bring me a little luck too. Five-socket sword.
I believe in traveling light.
Streaming while going through the campaign also definitely does. Ooh. That looks like a nice little DPS boost. Let's take a look here. 932 compared to... Oh yeah, that is a huge DPS boost. It's like over 500 DPS we just gained from that sword drop. I found that aside from getting a Tabula Rasa, another another easier way of getting a 6-link armor is by running at Zeri's Pyramid, which surprisingly is usually somewhat reasonably priced on the block. The only disadvantage of getting a 6-link in at Zeri's Pyramid is the fact that 99% of the time it's going to be corrupted. So you're not actually going to be able to mastercraft onto it or change any of the modifiers. but you can, from your hideout, change the actual color of the sockets. Granted, it's going to cost you not only your normal chromatic orbs that you'd pay for that crafting recipe, but it's also going to cost you vol orbs.
I believe in traveling light.
Yeah, 6 links are not easy to come across. Nothing really all that useful there. Actually going to port back because I'm leaving behind a lot of chromatics, and I do like to stack up chromatic orbs early on in the game. I mean, that's why you'll see so many people farming blood aqueducts, is literally just to get that tabula to have a 6 link in general. You know, it sucks to not have any affixes on it at all, which is kind of why I recommend going to a Xeris temp or pyramid, because if you do head to that map and you do get a 6 link corrupted to drop, as long as you can, you know, craft the correct socket colors onto it, it's better to have, you know, 1 or 2 good modifiers and a bunch that you aren't going to use, as opposed to like literally having no modifiers whatsoever.
Yes.
But the big key to running that also is making sure you increase the quality of the map. We have to level up once before we can use that. This I have no use for, so let's get rid of that entirely. Do I not have my... still have my card stash back here? Yep, sure do. I vendored a couple. I let them sit on the shop for a little while. No one offered on them, and I'm assuming it's because of the fact that they were corrupted and didn't have any modifiers that anyone really found useful for their build. Oh, he means a 6 link as in like all of the sockets connected. The jeweler's orbs come from just the 6 socketed items. Yeah, I vendor a ton of 6 socket items for the jeweler's orbs. One of the biggest reasons I'll try and get a bunch of jeweler's orbs too is because of the fact that you can actually take them to the vendor and get orbs of fusing. Every 4 jeweler's orbs you have, you can trade in for an orb of fusing. No worries. Aha, take that. Yeah, this two-handed sword that we looted is super nice. We basically gained like almost a 50% damage boost from it.
Blood.
I have to excuse the yawning. It's been a very long week. So I have Cold and Lightning Resist equipped now. The ring actually sucks. Just try the same thing and hopefully get some better mods. Not really. That's still pretty bad. Just trade that in.
Yes?
Damn, 6,000. Because I keep forgetting to cast it. I have when I have a lightning and I just keep forgetting to cast him.
Some time ago,
The mother of...
No, you're right, I definitely should be using my golem for a bit of a DPS boost. He just dies quickly when I cast him and then I forget to recast. It's one of my bad habits. Okay, he is still alive. Let's say he's just following me very slowly. Six links are fickle, though. $6,000 is a case of super bad luck, though. We're about to level up here. Go. I think the worst thing about when you're trying to get your 6 links is when you roll a 5 link and then you're like, okay, do I want to keep spending all of this currency to get my 6 link, or do I just keep going with this 5 link for a while? And then you decide, well, no, I'm trying to get my 6 link, so you keep going. And then you have a hard time even getting that 5 link back. And then you get to the point where you get the 5 link back, and you say, alright, screw it, I will try for the 6 link later. Them getting 6 links on 5 orbs of fusing, though, is just stupid good luck. I think it's supposed to take on average around 2,000. Did you have your items up to 20% quality when you were using your orbs of fusing on them? It's supposed to help.
I simply can't.
Like, I've noticed the difference on 4 links, but the odds of getting a 6 link are so low that it's hard to notice the difference. Okay, we can equip our hallowed life flask now. That should be
for now. Stash away some of this currency. Keep moving on. Let's go back in through our portal. Be the quickest way. I felt like I had pretty decent luck last league. Just with the amount of Exalts that I had drop. The fact that I ran at Series Pyramid twice. The first time I ended up running into 2 6-links, one of which ended up being the chest piece that I master crafted the socket colors onto, and the affixes were actually really good for my build, so I kind of lucked out there. The other 2 6-links, though, the one I got from the first run and then the single one I got from the second run, were both pretty bad. But, I mean, one good 6-link is all you need. Yeah, that sucks. That's a thing, though, like, when it comes to a 6-link, like, there's 2 things to keep in mind. One, like, you have an opportunity to get it for a lot cheaper than what you could ever buy it for by actually, you know, rolling it yourself. And 2, with the way that the market, you know, is set up for PS4, if anyone does have a 6-link item that they're selling in the market, you know it's going to be for a stupid amount. It's going to be probably at least double-digit Exalted Orbs that someone's going to ask for that thing, just because that's pretty much the rate things go at. Not saying that's the way it should be, but it's essentially the way it is. You know, I don't agree with it, but it doesn't change it. I will say, though, this is a little bit of a guilty pleasure, I suppose, but like last season, when I would offer someone like a somewhat fair price for an item, and they'd just give me like a cocky message back saying they'd never sell it for that amount, or, you know, like, oh, I've got like a bunch of offers that are way better than that, why would I sell it to you? You know, one of those type of people. And I would still see their item sitting up on the auction block, you know, a day before league end. That's what I find the most entertaining about, like, the people charging ridiculous amounts on the trade block for their items. It's like, dude, no one's, like, even capable of buying this, let alone going to buy it. And if your item is legitimately worth an Exalt or 2, you know, why are you going to try and get like 6 or 7 for it when no one's going to give that to you? You could have 2 Exalted Orbs. You're essentially choosing to get nothing. I don't know. I guess I'm in the minority, but like when I have stuff up on the auction block, like I'll let it go for a reasonable price. Like, I don't care. I'm not using it. I'm not gonna price gouge somebody else. I would rather make a little bit of currency and help someone else make progress in the game.
mean, dude, who can buy that? Like, what percentage of the community do you think legitimately has 30 Exiles, let alone 30 Exiles to spend on one item? You just, you know, there's no common sense when it comes to pricing something like that. Like, you know, I get you have a super rare item in the game. I get the fact that you took the time to 6-link it. But, like, you have to charge a reasonable amount of price that someone in the game can actually afford for it. Otherwise, you're literally just sitting on an item you're not using. I don't know. I just personally don't see the point. I mean, I think that karma kind of carries through, though. Like, and it kind of did end up happening to me, because, like, for a good majority of Flashback League, I was trying to get a Frost Furno hood, and I just couldn't. Like, most of the people who had Frost Furno hoods, you know, they were trying to get anywhere between, like, 3 to 6 Exiles for them, and, like, you know, it's a good item, it's a solid item, but it's not worth 6 Exiles. Like, by any stretch of the imagination. These weren't, you know, Frost Furno's helmet, so, you know, the most you're going to get is a 4-link. And, I mean, a 4-link's not difficult to obtain, it's not difficult to craft on, so, it, you know, having a 4-link versus, you know, just having a couple of sockets on there unlinked, it doesn't really make that much of a difference in value. It's super easy to craft a 4-link. I mean, honestly, like, if I do find some items that are useful for people in the community, like, through my playthrough, I have no problem, like I said, selling stuff to people at, like, a reasonable price that they can actually afford. But, yeah, like, the whole thing last season with me trying to get a Frost Furno is, you know, I couldn't buy one outright. And the reason why people charge so much for a Frost Furno is because it's a, it's an item you can only obtain by getting a specific prophecy. Well, for the longest time, like, no one was actually sealing the prophecy and selling them on the trade market. For those of you who don't or aren't familiar with actually sealing prophecies, when you get prophecies, you can actually spend a certain amount of silver coins to seal them, which basically turns them into an item, and you can actually sell those on the trade market. You know, obviously, one reason for doing that would be to sell it. The other reason to do it would be to just get rid of a prophecy that you don't want, to clear it up so you can spend the silver coin to get a different prophecy. But anyway, so I went ahead and found someone who was selling the prophecy, and they had actually sold it to me for they sold me the prophecy, I want to say, for like 40 or 50 chaos. So, you know, I had the item that I needed for the prophecy, so, you know, I just ran the prophecy with that item in my inventory and upgraded to Frost Furno, and I was good to go. You know, and I only paid, essentially, you know, like 50 chaos to get it. Yeah, I mean, hopefully, eventually, people on the market let common sense kind of take over as opposed to just flat-out greed. Because the fact of the matter is most people, like, need certain uniques for their builds. You know, I've always tried to create builds that aren't uniques, you know, dependent, but there's still uniques every time, that even on the builds that I create, that if I can add that to my arsenal, it's just going to make my build that much better. You know, because there's just some uniques in the game that are simply so good that, you know, you can't ignore the fact that they're that good. But I mean, by people hoarding those, you're stopping the rest of the population from progressing forward. Therefore, you know, creating stagnant progress for other players, which creates an even more stagnant market because you have less people who are out there grinding for those items. I don't know. It's not a PvP game, it's a PvE game. So you do need to look out for your fellow player a little bit. The other thing people have to keep in mind too is that as the meta changes, the value of items change too. So if you have an item that's legitimately worth 2 exalts, you decide to be greedy, try and get 10 exalts for it. The meta changes and all of a sudden your item's not even worth 40 chaos. You know, you screwed yourself over. I mean, and that's kind of what it is. They're basically gatekeeping. They're, you know, they're kind of doing the whole superiority thing. Unfortunately, it's not going to change, though, either. That's why the one video that I made that I wanted to make it a point of making, and I put a decent amount of work into, was the actual crafting video that I made about crafting rare items to essentially help you keep moving through the game if you can't get one of the uniques that you need. Dude, I've seen people who ask for multiple exalted orbs for a single exalted orb. Like, oh yeah, you want my exalted orb? It's gonna cost you 4 exalted orb. Why? My exalted orb is better than yours. It's a super exalted orb. It doesn't say anywhere on it, but yeah, it totally is. And I thought there'd be things that would kind of fix the market that would happen over time, but unfortunately from everyone who I've talked to who plays on Xbox One, because the game's been out for, I know, at least a year on Xbox One, maybe even longer. Maybe it's been over 2 years now. But everyone on there says that the trade market is still really bad on Xbox One. So, I mean, in all honesty, the best thing you can do is just practice crafting. Practice crafting. Know what to look for on rare items. Scour the market for rare items when you can. Buy something reasonable on there. Keep boosting the stats of your character and grinding, and and hopefully eventually your unique drops for you. It's not ideal, but honestly, like, with the way prices are, it's either that or try and come up with 30 Exiles. What the heck happened there? My hits weren't registering at all. That was weird. But yeah, I mean, that's all you can do. We're essentially running solo self-found without actually being in solo self-found. Oh, and I mean, that's what will happen. So I think the inevitability is, like, eventually people have to somewhat come to their senses, but I don't know. I do plan on making more in-depth videos on crafting and stuff too, so hopefully that'll help everyone out. It seemed like quite a few people gathered quite a bit from the first crafting video I made. Obviously uniques, specific ones have, really special, unique modifiers and affixes on them that you can't get on a gold item. But the idea is that if you stack the correct stats enough on a yellow item, it'll still make it good enough so you can at least still run all the content in the game. It may not be as easy if you have the specific unique, but at least it makes it doable. So that way you can continue grinding. I mean, the market won't completely die because, people are still going to be selling rare items and stuff for reasonable prices on the market. And not everyone on there is terrible. It's just a majority of, the elitists who make it to end game and have, one of only 5 of a certain item that's on the market and have the price set in their head that they're going to get for it. But, I mean, if more people learn the skill set to be able to create items to push them to end game so that they can complete those end game grinds too, it should also put more of those items out on the market, because it'll give other players a chance to actually get to end game where those items actually drop. That's kind of unfortunately the only solution to it, but it really comes down to everyone just becoming more educated on creating their own items, knowing what to loot, and that in the long run should fix things up a little bit.
I believe in traveling light.
Some people don't like crafting, which I get it, like, I understand. It's not necessarily, the most active thing you can do in the game. But, I mean, it's useful. That's something we can actually do with my standard character too, one of these days in stream. I can jump on, you know, one of my standard league characters where I have a bunch of different crafting currency. And we can just go through and like craft some items on top of some bases one day. Just do that for the majority of the stream and kind of get everyone familiar with that.
Yeah, man, thanks for popping in. Have a good night. Hopefully we'll see you on the next stream. And yeah, like I said, once I get to endgame, I'll definitely be looking to play with some community members. So I hope you're online that night. See, I think there are some items that you'll be able to find for a bit cheaper on the PS4 market. Just because, I mean, we don't have the knowledge that a lot of those PC guys have. Because, I mean, they've been playing since beta. Some of them have, which was like 2013, 2012. That's a long time to play a game. You inevitably gain some knowledge doing that. So, like, I think a lot of the knowledge for the item marketplace on PS4 is with, you know, the big, sexy, expensive items as opposed to, you know, some of the stuff that isn't as pricey. Oh, for sure, man. Like, I have a gaming PC and all, but I've always been a console gamer at heart. I personally just want to actually see this game grow on PS4, so my whole idea is if I can make the game seem more approachable, you know, at least some people would still give it a shot. I think I'll get rid of some of this stuff. Yeah, I've been waiting a while too, because even though I have a gaming PC, a lot of the people I enjoy playing with just don't. You know, gaming PC is a big investment. Like, I built mine, and it was still like a $900 and some investment, and like, I didn't build a top-notch one even.
Thank you.
Oh, we're not going to be able to grab that reward.
Yes.
Nice thing is, at this point, we're kind of getting to where we have enough scrolls of wisdom to where we can actually identify all these items before selling them off. And that's what I like to do here around mid-game, before our items are high enough level to where we can leave them unidentified to get extra chaos or regal orbs. At this point, I identify them to hopefully get alchemy shards, even though we didn't get any there, but we will sometimes. Just because orbs of alchemy are really nice to have for once you start mapping. Let's see, what is the amulet we got here? Still, I think we got a decent, yeah. So we have a tier 3 rolled max life mod on the amulet that we currently have, which is pretty solid. The plus to strength gives us extra life also. We have life regen and we have some cold resistance. And we could still craft another prefix on here, so in all reality we could actually use that amulet for quite a while. The closest thing you're going to get to a matchmaking system, at least right now, doesn't look like there's any instances going. But I've noticed sometimes when I go into the instance manager, it'll actually show me some other people's instances. I've never been lucky enough to actually catch someone in one of them, though, because usually the person's moved on by the time I've entered their instance. Oops.
You need something? Yes.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and grab our reward. Hey Dirk, how's it going? So, probably... We honestly don't even need the mana flasks anymore. We haven't struggled to sustain mana for quite a while. Five of 38 charges, 10 of 40. Gives 200. And the recovery rate's nice, but just get rid of that. 830 over 8 seconds. No. Just get rid of all of these. Oh, we could definitely use a silver flask. Some guaranteed onslaught, that'll be nice. Oh, it's going to give us poison immunity, so that's not bad at all. So it should be a decent little setup for us currently. I've only gotten lucky enough to see it a couple of times, so I don't really know if it's a reliable source of finding people. I mean, other than that, Holy Relic could just give us some random DPS, I suppose. We've got an open... Yeah, why not? We'll summon ourselves another little minion. Otherwise, I mean, if you're not a part of the PS4 community, you know, that's essentially there just for everyone here to be able to kind of group up. And yeah, life and resists are two of the biggest things, stat-wise. Then you typically find yourself building up, you know, either armor, evasion, or energy shield, or possibly a combination of two of the three. And then also building up some defensive layering with your actual gems themselves. Which, one of the most common ways to do that is by adding different gems onto a cast when damage taken gem. Or a lot of people will add Fortify onto their movement skill. That helps also. Nah, this is actually still my first Legion character. I have not had much time to play since Legion first started, unfortunately. Like, tonight's stream has probably been one of my longer play sessions so far. Some of it's the whole full-time job thing. The biggest thing, though, is I have a baby. My son turns a year old next month, so I spend a lot of time with my son, which isn't bad. Like, I don't, believe me, I became a father on purpose. But you know, when your kids are young, you don't have nearly as much time for some of the stuff you want to do. So, I mean, a good majority of my free time actually goes into, like, the streams and the videos and stuff I make. Which, I mean, I enjoy doing it. If I didn't, I wouldn't do it. Because I mean, I talked to quite a few people who talked to me about potentially, you know, wanting to do stuff with YouTube. And I mean, the one biggest piece of advice I give people is, you know, if you're going to start a YouTube channel and you're going to do stuff on there, like, make sure you enjoy it. Like, that's the most important part about it. Like, if you're doing YouTube to make money, like, you're not going to be happy with the outcome. You're not going to be successful. Like, that's not the reason why you should be doing it. My channel got monetized, I think, a little over a month ago, and, like, I don't really make much at all, but that's, like I said, it's not my focus. It's not really what I care about, so it doesn't, you know, bother me. Ah! Death! You know, I do the YouTube content so I can help my fellow PS4 players. I know how complicated the game is. I know how intimidating it is, and my whole goal is to help people. And I like spending my free time that way. Yeah, for sure. I hope my videos have helped, you know, kind of help you figure out exactly what to put into your builds. And builds are something I want to get more into in later on videos too. Like, so far I've really only made the one video on this build actually that I started in Path of Building, but I definitely want to create more of those videos. I've thought about doing more videos too, like I did with, you know, me actually analyzing a subscriber's build and kind of going through and kind of talking about the things I liked in the build. The things I liked in the build and some of the things that, like, I thought could improve the build a bit. I actually had a lot of fun doing that. No, death. Ooh. Let's get our onslaught going. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Get that laser away from me. Oof, man, he hits like a truck. I honestly don't know how experienced I would say I am with Path of Building. Jeez, getting destroyed here. Like, I've created probably a handful of builds in it. Jeez, he's just one-shotting us. Let me see. Our resist kind of suck. That's not helping. Our life could definitely be higher because we don't have any energy shield added on. Oh god, I've got 4 passive skills I haven't even used. Now let's check out. So yeah, that's about 200 more health right there.
I'm just not doing a good job dodging his AoE attack. Dang. In all reality, so basically what I'm not doing and that I should be doing here is when he attacks that laser attack, that's when I need to focus in and come after him. And I need to dodge all those also. I haven't gotten the chance to watch a lot of the, Dang, dude. This is kind of crazy. Alright, let's try a different tactic here. Just, oh, let's see, this is where we need to get behind him. Fortunately, we're not losing any XP at this point in the game. But this is pretty savage, actually. My fire resist isn't very good right now, which isn't helping. It's at 46. Thank God that's over. You can do it with lower resists. It's just I wasn't moving around properly, attacking at the right times. But if I rip a few times at this point in the game, it doesn't really bug me all that much, just because of the fact that we're not losing any XP. That was just a bit of an annoying fight. That fight was essentially like we locked ourselves out of our house, our keys wouldn't work, so we just kicked the door in. But, I mean, that should be relatively encouraging. I struggle through fights too, so don't feel bad if you're struggling through a part in the game. Let's see. Just warp back to town. Oops. I just don't remember that fight being that difficult before. I feel like last week I just kind of crushed right through that fight, but the boss rebalancing might have something to do with it. But the big things I was doing mechanically wrong was the fact that I was rushing in when he was doing his attack where he sends out the multiple projectiles out. Because the closer you are, like the easier time he's going to have hitting you with those. So I should have stayed back more on those attacks. Should have dodged out of his AoE when he started triggering that, and then just strictly attacking during that laser attack, just using my movement skill to get behind him and hit him from there. So it was more or less also just me not paying enough attention to what he was doing. Let's see. So we're not using ground slam. This probably don't actually have any that'll do anything for our actual skill gems that we're using. Cold damage.
just grab one of the decent global physical damage gems.
Once Kitava has
Probably
got
won't
the
even use any of those anyways. But yeah, rips happen. You just gotta kind of move past it.
We're glad. Lani's told me a little about
I just need to make sure I'm better geared for the Kitava fight. Another thing that it probably wasn't helping is my two-handed sword's okay, mask is okay, and my chest piece is a little underleveled, but like this ring's not very good. This ring could definitely use some replacement. Level doesn't really matter on unique items, but the only thing I'm really getting from this is life and strength. I mean, I suppose it's helping with my curses a little bit, but I'm not even generating endurance charges at this point. That item's actually not that bad. I mean, our boots are terrible. Like, I literally have these right now because I need the dexterity and the intelligence in order to have all my gems equipped. The gauntlets aren't very good, and my belt isn't all that fantastic either, so I'm definitely rocking some lower level gear too. So if you're kind of ripping like I just was, it's another thing to check. You probably have a few pieces of gear that are pretty underleveled. Thing is, if your resists are that high and you haven't gotten, if you're mapping, yeah, you'll want to lower them, but like if you haven't finished Act 5 or Act 10 yet, and your resists are that high, you're going to get that penalty when you hit after Act 5 and after Act 10. So it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. Oh, you just said you level 66. So you're likely either just before Act 10 or just after. But yeah, you'll have a 30% penalty after you finish Act 10 if you're just before. So you want to keep that into account too. I mean, you can loot other gear from different areas. Otherwise, the other thing you can do, you can talk to one of the NPCs. It's not a good example because she sells jewelry.
I'm here to serve as best I can.
But say I was looking for better boots, you know, I could purchase one of these and then just essentially use it as a crafting base. So let's actually... Oh no, because I don't have... I've only got one Regal, and I don't want to reuse a Regal at this point. But let's see, what do I have? I just have a red on there, so I can literally grab pretty much anything. This is just an Orb of Transmutation. So, let's go ahead and do this. I'll grab these boots, go into my stash, and essentially... If I had more Regals, what I would end up doing is actually taking my Orb of Transmutation to upgrade it to a magic item. And that would put a couple of different modifiers on it. If I like the modifiers, I can then Regal it into a rare item, because it'll keep those original 2 modifiers and then just add a couple of extra to turn it into a rare. Otherwise, if I don't like the modifiers, I can use an Orb of Alteration while it's still a blue item, and keep re-rolling those until I get 2 that I like, and then turn it into a rare item. But since I don't have a lot of Regals, I don't even have a lot of Alchemies, to be honest. But if I want to do that, then I just want to go ahead and Elk this item. Or, if there's a specific item on these essences, a specific mod on these essences that I like, I can go with one of those. So like this one will give me, you know, an increase to my max life,
because, you know, boots are considered a piece of armor. So that one's not bad. Let's see. Other armor, avoid being shocked. I don't really care about that. Boots, that could add to my evasion rating, but that's not something I'm really stacking. I don't think they had, no, boots weren't listed on there. That's not going to do me any good. Max energy shield, we're not stacking energy shield. So, I mean, the best one I could use on here would be the one for max life. Which currently these boots have +9 to max life, which is pretty bad. So let's just use an essence just to kind of show how these work. So it gave me a plus to strength, armor and evasion, life, and an increase to the rarity of the items I find. I don't really care too much about rarity of items. Max life is nice, strength is nice, and armor and evasion is nice. The downside is, though, I didn't get the dexterity or intelligence that I need. I'll kind of show you here. So if I want to... Oh, actually, I must have picked up some extra intelligence nodes and everything else along the way. So that's actually nice. I don't need those anymore. The only downside is I'm going to lose movement speed. And that's the other thing that we can do. Is we can always check out the trade market. Look into some boots. We're likely going to want something that's strength based. Yeah, I pretty much figured that would all be over leveled. So antique greaves are probably going to be our best bet. We can use the advanced search. And just search for movement. And that'll actually highlight anything that has increased movement speed. So I mean, that gives us max life, some strength, lightning resist, and movement speed for 1 chaos. Not terrible. 5 chaos is super terrible. Lightning resist, 25% movement speed, armor, strength, max life. That's actually not bad. I may consider that one, to be honest. 30% increased movement speed. Oh, why is that guy gonna sell that for 5? That sucks. $70 to max life. I don't really want to waste time offering on something that someone doesn't have an asking price on, because I'm not very optimistic that they're going to give me a reasonable price. Two chaos. Okay, let's see. Strength, armor, increased armor, max life, fire resist, cold resist. Only 15% speed though. At this point, like, 2 chaos is probably about the max I'd want to spend on a pair of boots. They aren't, unfortunately. Someone will actually have to accept my offer. Ideally, I'd like more movement speed than 15% if I can. They crafted 12% speed onto theirs. Only 10% on that, yikes. Got some mirrored items. So I was hoping to get something with a little fire resist, but I think it was this one. Oh, he's already got lightning resist crafted on there. That one's somewhat tempting, but be nice to have something with some life on it too. The max life on that's super nice. We're rocking 15% now, but an extra 10%, we're going to see the difference in moving. Yeah, it is unfortunate because there are a lot of people that you'll offer exactly what they're asking for, and they'll still tell you no. I'll probably make an offer on this pair, just because at the moment, I don't really care about getting rid of 1 chaos. It's just a temporary item anyways, so I don't want to invest too much into it. Actually, we just want to unstack, grab 1. So that's another thing to keep in mind, that in order to offer on something, you actually need the item in your inventory. But if you go and hit X to send them an offer, you can exit out and it'll actually show up in your sent offers. So go ahead and submit that. So that should ideally go a little bit quicker than using the item that we crafted on. And this will happen when you're crafting too.
We live in interesting times.
I would search for the exact parameters, but I mean, we looked at everything on there that had movement speed attached to it. That wasn't, you know, too high of attributes for me to be able to equip on this character. And most of them were people that didn't actually have like a price set on there. Just if I wasn't streaming right now, I'd probably offer on some of those, just to you know, essentially, oh, it was accepted. We should go back. There's 2 concerns I have with just offering on, you know, things that don't have an asking price while I'm streaming. One is just the amount of time it's going to take. Like, that went pretty quick. Negotiating back and forth can take some extra time. The other is, I don't really want people sending nasty messages to me while I'm streaming, and that can definitely happen when you offer on items, unfortunately. Thanks for stopping in, Darkness. You have a good night, dude. Yeah, no, Dirk, I agree with you, though. I would definitely do that otherwise. There we go. See? So basically we just solved the part of our problem. So now we have some better boots. Our lightning resist is a little better. The other thing we can do... let's see. I've got fire resist on there already. I don't have an open suffix on that. We could just mastercraft on something we already have. I'm not going to mastercraft on top of those because those are already pretty awful. Those are full up. That ring is pretty terrible. I think Lonnie had jewelry. So it's a 2-stone cold and lightning. What are our actual cold and lightning resists sitting at? Yeah, they're pretty close to where we want them.
Hello.
We could get rid of Calm Sign over here, though. It just has max life, strength, plus 2 life gained. We could find something better than that. So let's go ahead and... I mean, that's just 3 Scrolls of Wisdom. We don't really have anything to lose by buying that. Scrolls of Wisdom are super easy to come across. So, unset ring. Let's see what essences we had for jewelry. Lightning damage, I don't want that. Evasion, I don't really care about that either. Dexterity, lightning damage. And as I get through here, these are going to be so low level, they're not even worth crafting.
So let's just go ahead and use an Orb of Alchemy. Yeah, not much luck there. So what I could do here, and if this was a base I really wanted to use, if you know I was in endgame and it was an item that I absolutely wanted to use and keep crafting on top of, I could use an Orb of Scouring to completely get rid of those modifiers and then re-roll it. But I think what we'll do instead, there was one other ring that'll be useful to us in here to try and craft on top of. The ruby one that has fire resistances on it. Because that's going to guarantee, at least give us that 25% fire resist, which will help us out. So we'll blow through one more here. Dexterity mana, life regen per second, so that kind of sucks too. The fire resistance is nice. I'm not too concerned about losing out on strength. Let's see, what are we looking at for prefix? So 2 prefixes and 2 suffixes, which means we can actually craft a prefix or a suffix on this. And I'll kind of show you master crafting here. When you're early game like this, I probably wouldn't craft onto items. This is more or less just an example. You are better off just flat out purchasing things when you're this early into the game. Just because I'm kind of blowing through some resources here, but this is more of like a teaching, learning experience than anything else. So if I can get a decent roll from, and this is master crafting essentially, like Dirk had mentioned, it's just a crafting table that's in your hideout. The reason why I stress suffix over prefix is, like, if this had 3 suffixes on it already, that would completely eliminate my opportunity to be able to craft any of these on here. The ones that you see that are highlighted in red, I can't craft those on there because they're already on there. So I can't craft dexterity on there a second time. But there are things like, so say, you know, I can put fire resist on there because fire resist is on this ring as an implicit, and an implicit doesn't count towards your suffix or your prefix. You can tell that an item has an implicit because it's that stat that's in between the 2 lines there at the top. That represents an implicit modifier. So I can still craft fire resistance on this if I wanted to. I'm not going to, just because it should be pretty close to where I want it at this point. Something else to keep in mind, though, is I don't have all of the crafting modifiers unlocked on here yet. But say I had fire resist on here as just a normal suffix, so I couldn't craft fire resist on there. But I go down here and say it has, you know, fire resistance and cold resistance. I could still craft that on there because it's not technically the same modifier. So just something to keep in mind there. But for this, just so I'm not losing as much life, I'm just going to craft life on there quickly. And we literally got the worst roll possible. But it's whatever. Honestly, having the didn't even really lose that much. 15, 23. So yeah, we lost less than 40 life. It would be bigger if we had more life, you know, modifiers on there. But I mean, our fire resist is going from a 46 to a 71. We're getting some extra mana, so I mean, all in all, it's really not that bad. So these other 2 items we'll just sell off. We don't need them. Yep, exactly. So when you hold L3, that's how I actually saw prefix versus suffix. And you can go into options and turn on show full descriptions. That's what'll give you the option to see that. So yeah, if you're thinking about doing any sort of master crafting, that's one of the more important elements to pay attention to.
You know, and like I had mentioned, it's not necessarily something you'll probably want to do early game. You are better off purchasing your items just because you can get exactly what you want, and you take that kind of randomness out of it from crafting. But as you get into end game, you know, you'll definitely want to craft some items. You'll absolutely want to mastercraft on items. And mastercrafting is something that you know, can find use of even if you are strictly purchasing your items. Because say I'm, you know, looking in the trade market for something that has, let's say, life, fire resist, and lightning resistance. Now, say it has lightning resistance and really great life, but it doesn't have any, you know, fire resist, but it has an open suffix. That item's still valuable to me because I can still go ahead and craft that fire resistance onto it. So you really only need 2 of the 3 things that you're actually looking for, on top of making sure that you actually have the correct modifier open to be able to add on to it. Hopefully that makes sense. Advanced mod descriptions. Oh, so that's when, crap, I always hit the center button on that part. So that's when I hit L3 on here. That's what shows me the tiers and the ranges. So like it tells me the top possibility that I could get, and like the lowest possibility I can get, and then the tier. So it's basically everything that's in parentheses. Thanks, man. You have a good night. Thanks for popping in. So we're actually nearing the fight with Kitava. Which, my life being at around 1500 is actually relatively close to what I wanted at for this fight. So life-wise, we're not looking too bad, and our resistances are looking a lot better now. So yeah, hopefully everyone has a little bit better of a grasp on, you know, how to get some better items too when you're, you know, kind of early. I suppose this is kind of mid-game at this point. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you can upgrade where you're at with your character for a relatively cheap amount. You just have to know what you're looking for. Yeah, I think most people do play solo. And I feel like it's that way on PC too. I know I map with a friend of mine. I did last league. And that's another reason why I wanted to make it a point to, on the streams, once I get to mapping with this character, just, you know, doing some community play kind of stuff and just mapping with people in the stream. Mob density is a lot higher here than I remember it. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why. I mean, it might just be the fact that there's no real form of matchmaking. The other might be people just don't want to play with the increased difficulty. I mean, I think it's worth it for the items you get for partying up, but... That's actually a nice little drop. Some more diffusing there. That's kind of what I was mentioning earlier in the stream, though. Like, I think there's going to be a lot more currency in this league. See how the Kitava fight goes, considering how poorly the last boss fight went. Oh, that's actually, that looked a lot different when I implemented it, so I'm actually probably going to change that for the next stream. But, that's actually the chat box. I'm not a huge fan of how streams look when you stream directly from your PlayStation. So I actually I have a capture card, and I run my stream through Streamlabs OBS, so I can actually kind of customize how the stream looks. No worries. I actually can somewhat see like how small that is when watching on a mobile device. Because when I stream using that capture card, it's connected through USB 2.0 onto my computer. So if I actually watch the stream through Streamlabs OBS, there's a delay. So it'll actually get me killed a lot more often than, you know, I've already died during this stream. Which... Essentially, to avoid that, I switch inputs on my TV and just play on my PlayStation how I normally would, and then I set up my tablet to be on the YouTube stream, so I can actually check the chat from my tablet while I'm playing. As you can tell, a lot of thought went into me essentially just wanting to make the stream look a little nicer. But I like it though, it helps the stream stand out a little bit. Also, if you use Streamlab OBS, you don't have to use like the PlayStation camera. You can use just any old webcam that hooks up to your PC. I haven't done any streaming with a camera. I've considered it. I don't really have an opinion on it one way or the other. Oh crap, I definitely went the wrong way. Went right back to the Chamber of Innocence. Oh, we have to fight him again because we came in here. This is fine, actually. Let's see how much better we can do this time around. Oh wait, I don't think... Yeah, that's weird. Oof, so we can still get one shot. Looks like we got attacked by both of them at the same time, to be honest. It was actually the big guy that one-shot us there. Yeah, it's a good idea just because I don't actually, I don't need that mana flask anymore. I don't even really need to have that equipped in general. Yeah, this is a really great example to just kind of show how much your resistances really make a difference. Granted, I'm dodging a bit better this time too, but I mean, for the most part, like, this is all happening because our fire resists are so much higher now. Oh, no, this is the attack that killed us earlier. Yeah, I needed to back off there. But yeah, it's counterintuitive to hit left on that. Actually, we can really just go ahead and equip 3 at this point. This is a nice spot because I'll actually get to increase our flasks here. So yeah, like sitting back here makes it so I can literally, I got one shot again. I need to get out of the way for that. But yeah, so that went a lot better. I made a couple of mistakes there, but yeah, for the most part, actually getting a little bit of better gear on there, it made a huge difference. That's a cool option for the flask. I actually wasn't aware of that. Yeah, so I mean, that's a really great example right there of just how a couple of upgrades to your items can make a huge difference in your boss fights. Like, I made a couple of poor decisions which got me killed there, but I mean, for the most part, like, we did fine. I feel like the early boss fights are a lot more difficult than they were previously too. You know, and that was intentional, like GGG said that they were going to do that. That was a big part of this update, was making sure that the early game content had more challenge to it again. You know, and I enjoy that as someone who doesn't, you know, particularly rush through the story. I try to move through, but, you know, I'm not like a racer. I don't speed through the levels. Especially when I'm streaming. Like, I like to take my time and actually, like, talk and not have to fully 100% focus on every little thing I'm doing. Frozen. So I probably should have identified that one, but at this point I don't have any flasks that, so I don't think I do. No, just immune to poison. When I hit endgame though, I actually keep flasks to make me immune to freeze for that exact reason. That way I can pop those. Because in situations like that, you get frozen for a few seconds. It doesn't matter if you have good resist or not. Like, especially with a leech life character, you're dead. Like, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. We had our life go a little low for a second there, but for the most part, since we were leeching, we were actually able to sustain through that. But yeah, getting frozen will kill you. That's not a bad investment at all for 10 chaos. It's basically like saying for 10 chaos, you know, not only did you gain all that extra, but like you gained essentially 50% more DPS than you originally had. That alone would be totally worth it. For those who aren't familiar with essences who are watching the stream too, those frozen enemies right there are like the easiest way to get essences. You can get them from incubation too in this league, but easiest guaranteed way to get those essences is from those frozen enemies. Hey man, how's it going? Glad to have you in. Skeletal Shrine, this is one of my favorites. So we're having an army of skeletons helping us out here. We basically get a free summoner build for a limited amount of time. Oh, this is kind of a rough area to activate one of these in. We may as well just start attacking to get some enemies to fight. Shrine next to a shrine, you don't see that very often. I've had one Regal drop so far. But I've just had bad luck with the actual enemies with icons showing up in the monoliths. It's more or less been like the bad luck I've been running into. But I've noticed currency drops kind of up in general. My tablet's actually about to die. Just gonna kill the group chat for me if I don't plug that in. Be just a second here. There we go. Actually, let's get ourselves some more life here. Yeah, I'm not always the best at spending those right away. Another thing that can unfortunately get me killed from time to time. That's right, I have to go around for that one. Yeah, that's one of the only, it's something I have to get used to when I'm streaming, just because I'm looking at multiple screens when I'm doing this. I have to get a little better at paying attention to like things that are going on in the corner of the screen. Usually that leads to me just neglecting when I gain a couple of levels. Hopefully this monolith will actually give me an incubator. We haven't had one in a minute. Chest at least. Yeah, I kinda figured we weren't gonna get that gold done on me.
I believe in traveling light.
Yeah, Tanner, you actually missed my nightly mandatory complaining about the trade market. I was literally having that conversation probably like 15 minutes ago. Ah, nice, we're diffusing. Let's see, what's taking up all this room? Something's slowly hitting us over there. Stop it. Crap. was curious to see what kind of affixes these boots have. Even though we just bought some, it's still not worth picking up.
I believe in traveling light.
Yeah, that's fine. I feel like the drops from the monoliths will just get better over time too, like as I hit endgame. I'm assuming the drops increase. Probably get more enemies that actually have the icons above their heads and everything else too. Down and around this way. Nice. I'm assuming you're doing like some sort of lightning spell skill. I actually haven't done a lightning build in a while. I haven't thawed out in a minute.
I believe in traveling
Oh
light.
crap, that's right. It takes up inventory space. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give up a chromatic item here. Ooh, look at all that life. Gonna lose cold and lightning resist though. That's a solid item though. I may put that on the trade block just to see if anyone else ends up being able to use it. It's not something I want to just straight up vendor, to be honest. I can give up a chromatic item just to move forward. I'll try to get that crafting recipe. Don't want to pass those up. I think I gotta use the ports. I'm pretty sure there's a waypoint literally right outside this door. Thanks, man. Yeah, happy to have you drop by. Alright, let's get some chromatic orbs. Thank you. I would stash this, but I just don't see the need for it. I don't think I have a sale tab set up here. Oh, I guess I kind of do with that, but... Oh, crap. This stuff shouldn't be in here. Let's use this as a sale tab. Put these where they actually belong.
Yeah, we should be just about to finish Act 5 here. Where no matter how badly we beat down Kitaba, he will inevitably slap us in the face and give us a 30% penalty to all of our resistances because he's a jerk. That's all you need to know about Kitaba, he's a jerk. Alright, let's zip through here. I did not mean to pick that up. The dead end. I'm just glad we're finally sustaining mana. That was actually what stopped me from using my Cyclone for the longest time. Oh, I should have paid attention to my health there. Did not even pay attention. Otherwise, this would have went more like this. After the Kitaba fight here, though, I'll have to pay a bit more attention and not just rip randomly like that, because you do still lose 5% of your experience. It's not as noticeable in Act 5 as it is after Act 10, but losing experience sucks either way. Okay, there we go. Oh, like none of those hits were registering. That was kind of lame. Had that happen quite a few times tonight now with World or Cyclone. I'll literally be right next to something and those hits just don't register. Hopefully they can fix that. I highly doubt it's supposed to be doing that. Like, I know there's the accuracy mechanic in the game, but you shouldn't be missing that often. Slam the Breakfast of Champions. Ooh. Rare jewel, that's nice. I think I have a few nodes that are right next to a jewel slot too. Don't think that's actually... I think it's going to take us down here, but we can double check.
It's actually not bad. Attack speed of... Oh, we're not using an axe anymore. I forgot we switched over to that sword. It's actually not the best in the world then. Yeah, this is just a side quest, so we'll skip out on that for now. Mobs like this I'll still go through and kill just because it should offer us a decent amount of experience for the amount of time it actually takes to kill this mob. Here we go. So here we go. Feel like we can actually gain one more level before we fight him. Jewelry drop. I think you can definitely grab one more level fast. They definitely buffed the mob. Buffed the mob density. It's a lot easier to find packs to kill. Got 2 orbs of chains in a row. Actually took way too long to get, but at least we got one of them. We're taking bleed damage right now. There we go, finally fell off. Bleed damage sucks. You start moving and essentially not killing yourself. I'm forgetting to call out my summons. Something satisfying about just jumping into a large group of enemies, just kicking the crap out of everything. we go. Kitava 1.0. Oh, yikes. Yeah, I should have moved. I should have expected to phase tank that. Look at that cutie. Calling in some minions before too long. There we go. Let's pop around slot. So we can somewhat base tank those big punches. We just have to make sure we don't get hit again right afterwards. Those sweeps or something though. Here come the minions. Bunch of chumps. Come on, punk. Oof. Guess I shouldn't have name called. Trying to think if this is where he just fires that laser and owns us regardless of what we do. Yep, sure is. Blah.
There is no shame in falling.
Yes, there is. Sin we already did. So we gotta talk to Lily, take a boat ride.
I'm Captain.
Sail back to Rayclast, and that is Act 5. So there we go. We got halfway through the game tonight. Not bad. Not too bad at all. Ooh, quite a bit of lag there. Alright, so we made some good progress. I think I'm going to call it a night from there. Thank you guys so much again for checking out the stream tonight. I am super excited to be streaming on YouTube again. I've honestly missed this. Streaming on Twitch was okay for a little while, but YouTube's just a better platform for me. So I'm going to be continuing to stream through YouTube, so you guys definitely come in and, you know, come join me for the YouTube streams. Tonight's stream went a little longer than most of my other streams do, but I was having some fun, was happy to be back. I'll have some more videos coming out next week, just some more tutorial stuff. I'm going to try and power through the main game as quickly as possible so that in one of these upcoming streams we can just kind of do some community play events and just go through some mapping together, maybe do some delve and some other stuff together too. So yeah, hope you guys will come check that out and you know, come play some Path of Exile with me. So hope everyone has a great night. Again, thank you so much for joining me, and as always, until next time, may the RNG be with you, always.